Okay, was herzlich alle jüdische Kinder?
Baruch Hashem.
Was mit der Gule Schleimer?
No, what are we learning? Which book do we got to take out?
I
I'll
sent
stop
you a
it, Chesed.
message.
Where were you?
Ich hatte geschickt, Chelik Lamed Beis. I sent you, Chelik Lamed Beis. You asked me what Sicha, so Moshe answered what Simcha. And ich habe zugestimmt, that it's from Chelik Lamed Beis. I didn't choose an easy
Simchas
Sicha.
Atayra.
Simchas Atayra, yeah? I didn't choose an easy one, Lamed Beis. Savogige
WhatsApp has
Sicha.
a mind of it.
Huh?
Listen, WhatsApp has a mind of it. WhatsApp has a mind of its own.
Oh, what's, you meant to say what Sicha, you wrote what Simcha.
I
That
know what
is,
Sicha says, there was Simcha.
you can't call that a
WhatsApp has
Freudian
mind of its
slip. You have to come up with a good word for an electronic. Come to Chayset, as in WhatsApp, there's also psychotherapy. You gotta.
No,
It's a WhatsAppian slip.
When Hasidim get together, learn a Sicha, it's a Simcha.
Okay.
Yossi. What is this?
You heard the latest chat that people are saying that all the shuls should be for sale, and people come in groups of 10 to see if they want to buy. And the highest bidders, those are the biggest mishaberach should come first. That's the word.
Very nice.
I tell you the truth, people are walking the streets and socializing. It's not quarantine as I see it. Anyway, the Sicha is gewaldig. I love the Sicha. I taught it before. I know I taught it before. But I want to teach it again. Baldet Kum and Reuven, and he'll tell me when I taught it. It's like you remember every Sicha from the Rebbe. He remembers every shir we had. It's a Sicha. It's a Sicha. It's based on a Rambam and it's based on Meir Nevuchim. I just want to say one word before we start the Sicha, which is it's Pirush HaMishnayos. It's Pirush HaMishnayos. It's mentioned in this Sicha, but it's in Pirush HaMishnayos. It's in Pirush HaMishnayos in Pirkei Avos maybe. It's a Shmeina Prakim. It's Pirush HaMishnayos Shmeina Prakim, which is Akdama to Pirkei Avos. Okay. And that's as follows. There's a word from the Mezitcher Magid. It's a famous, brought in a lot of my Mori Chasidus, the Mezitcher Magid. And you have almost the same word, Mamish, almost the same word from the Rambam, which I find interesting that the recording, the Mezitcher Magid, when the Rambam says Kemat the same thing. Kemat the same thing. What's the word? There's a Maimeh Chazal. Reuven, Chelik Lamed Beis, page 174. When was the last time we learned it? There's a Maimeh Chazal that says it's not a Gemara, it's a Medrash. It's a Teres Kenim, right? Al Yemar Odom Efshi Bepsar Chazir. A person should not say, I hate treif, ich will nicht essen katreif. Al Yemar, a person should say Efshi, I would like to eat treif. Uma Ese She'avi Shebashamayim Gozer Alai, what am I supposed to do? That the Eibush said I'm not allowed. This is a word from the Zitcher Magid. Right? It says in Chazal, Al Yemer Adam, a person should not say I hate treif. You should say Efshi, I like treif, and Eibush doesn't let. So on this Maimeh Chazal, on this Teras Keinim, there's a word for the Magid. And it's a very important word. That only a tzaddik can say Efshi. If you never tasted a certain Aveda, you could say I want, I desire. If you have a shaykhis to that Aveda, in other words, if once in your past you did that Aveda, so you have a vulnerability to that Aveda, so then you have to say Efshi. This is the word in the Mezitcher Magid. A Beinani or a Tzaddik who didn't do an Aveda, or any person, and this is a public service announcement, yeah? Not for shrimp and not for those big guys. What are they called? Shellfish. Whatever they call it. Because I never tasted it. Lobster. I don't know what it... Lobster. A taiva that you never had, you have no geschmack and you have no desire for it. You have pushed no netiya whatsoever to it. So if you never had a certain taiva, you're supposed to say, Ich habe, I desire, and the Eibush doesn't let. A taiva that you once were exposed to, then in spite of the Teras Kain, the Maggid is supposed to Echab Nishhold. This is a vart from Sicha Maggid. You'll see inside that Rambam has a similar vart. But the Rambam's vart is not based on whether you tasted it or not, or you didn't taste it. The Rambam's vart is based on Nafshei Shalodam Kotza Behem. Some Avedas are disgusting. And some Avedas Viltzach. Some Avedas Viltzach. So an Aveda was Viltzach, you got to be careful. An Aveda that's disgusting, here you could say Efshi. You'll see it inside. So the Rambam and the Mesicha Maggid are not saying mamish the same thing, because the Mesicha Maggid is talking about your personal experience, and the Rambam is speaking about the idea that's based on some Avedas most people desire, and for them you're supposed to say efshi. Some Avedas nobody desires, then you could say efshi. So there's a similarity between the two. And I want to tell a Maise. Why? Because a Maise is alamal gut zach lehamedrash ikir ela Maise. I heard the story from Olav Shalom Harav Yankiv. Aaron Yankiv Shvei, Zechrein Levracha. So it's an Aschus Fareh Mechet. He used to work in Ocean Parkway in Chayva Veteira. So we worked together. We were colleagues. Yeah, he could have been my grandfather, or father, but he was colleagues. So he told me the following story. He told me he was a very Geshmaki Yid. Rabbi Shvei was a very sweet, sweet Jew. It's a famous story, but I heard it from him. That there was a chassid whose name was the Pesach Molostovke. The Pesach Molostovke was considered the youngest of the Chassidim of the Alter Rebbe. He was the same age as the Hillel Paritcher, a little bit older maybe, but the Hillel Paritcher was the Mitler Emsa Chassid. The Pesach Molostovke was the Malton Emsa Chassid, the youngest of the Talmidim of the Alter Rebbe, which is a special Indian. He was Meirech Yomim, he was by the Alter Rebbe, he's by the Mitler Rebbe, the Masadik, I think he was even by the Rebbe Marash. He's the guy with the headaches and the hot water and the cold water and the tepid water. You know the story? He had headaches. So he came to the Mitler Rebbe, said, wash his head with hot water. Mitler Rebbe passed away, the hot water stopped working. He came to the Tzemach Tzedek, said, no, cold water. So he started washing with cold water, the headaches went away. Tzemach Tzedek passed away, the Stalag Gavad, so he went to the Rebbe Rash, said, no, not hot, not cold, you mix hot and cold together. This was a Pesach Molostovke. The reason he had headaches was because it was once a Maisa that Goyim tried to kill him, to give a clap in cup, a whole story. But anyway, the Maisa that I want to tell is this, that near where he lived there was a Machashiv. Where he lived, at Molostov, there was a Machashiv, a Goy, a Galach Mistame, and he had Koyches Atumah. And he figured out that the whole Koyach of Ruchnius in the Yishuv, in the Kehillah, in the community, was a Pesach Molostovke. He was the reason why people were so Erlich and so Frum and so Yiddish. He started to use Koyches of Tumah to Pachep sich mit them. And the Pesach Molostovke felt it. He felt a heaviness, he felt, I don't know what the word is, Sveikis, Atzvus, he felt as a Yiddishkeit lebt nicht. Is er weggelaufen zum Rebbe, he went to the Tzemach Tzedek. And at the time he didn't even know why it was bothering him, but he knew that Epis is nicht beseder. Is er rein zum Rebbe, went to the Tzemach Tzedek. So the Tzemach Tzedek heard him out. Auf dem Tisch gelegen ein Apple. Beim Tzemach Tzedek auf dem Tisch gelegen ein Apple. It was an apple. Hat gesagt, he picked up the apple. Tzemach Tzedek picked up an apple. And he said to the Pesach Molostovke, Zog ich hab nicht Holt. Say I hate it. Say I don't desire the apple. So the Pesach Molostovke war a Pnimi, a Chabadski Chassid, that again fit, Rabbi ich hab ja Holt. Rabbi ich hab Holt, I want it. So Tzemach Tzedek said a second time, Zog ich hab nicht Holt. Say I hate it. He says, Rabbi ich hab Holt, I want it. Over and over again, the Tzemach Tzedek kept on saying, Zog ich hab nicht Holt. Say I hate it. And the Pesach was saying, Rabbi ich hab Holt. And after I don't know how many times, he finally platzed, Rabbi ich hab nicht Holt. I hate it. What Pnimius Dike Inyan went on, but the Tzemach Tzedek broke his connection to this apple, and then the Klippa left. That's the word. The Efshi and the E-Efshi. Efshi meint ich hab Holt. I desire, the Eibush doesn't let. E-Efshi meint ich hab nicht Holt. And one of the Yesoides of this Sicha, it's a very, very interesting Sicha. If you don't learn it correctly, it can come across very technical, very dry. But if you learn it correctly, it's mamash, it's a gewaldike der head that the Rebbe is saying about the Shitas HaRambam in Taimiyah Mitzvahs. That's where it comes down. What is the Rambam Shita Batami HaMitzvahs? And the Rebbe holds that it's not so far from Chassidus. But part of the whole spiel of the Sicha is this question of Efshi and E-Efshi. Some Taivis, you dafke supposed to say a Chabalt, the Pinchas.
Yeah.
If you put yourself on mute, you will be able to hear just as good as you're hearing now. And we won't hear the exercise.
All right.
Ishkoyach. Medaf sich muten. Oh, perfect. You know that in Yiddish, mut means mood. So muten means to put yourself into a good mood. Medaf sich muten. Person keeps quiet to be in a good mood. Okay, so let's learn. This is a Rambam Sicha Sofilchas Tmura. Pashas b'chukaisa you have the halachas of Tmura. Kosef Rambam Seifilchas Tmura. Shusim Sefer Kabbanas. The Rambam writes like this. Afapi shekol chukia teira gzeidisim. We know that all the mitzvahs in the Torah, the chukim that are gzeidas, they're edicts. K'meisha b'yanu b'seif me'ilah. The Rambam in Seif Me'ilah spoke about the fact that mitzvahs are chukim. They don't have to make sense, right? The Eibishter said that you're not allowed to be moil, and there are aspects of Me'ilah don't make sense because it's chukim. Gzeidas, megidela, etil whatever it is. So the Rambam in Hilchas Tmura says, I already said in Saf Hilchas Me'ilah that the mitzvahs are chukim without a tam. And the Rebbe puts in brackets, v'zel l'sheni sham, unazei shteit, in Saf Hilchas Me'ilah. V'hamishpatim heima mitzvahs shetaiman golim. Mishpatim are mitzvahs that we know the reason. V'tevos as yosem bel mazei yedua, and the benefit of doing them in this world is known. Or to say differently, the benefit of doing them is known in this world. V'achukim heina mitzvahs she'ein taiman yedua. Chukim mitzvahs know the time. Chukah chakachti lecha v'chuli. The Rambam writes, it's chukah chakachti. I want you to know, I'm almost sure about this. With Yar and Tzedek, I looked at it. That means 20 years ago. But I believe that the earlier Rishonim did not have three chalukas and mitzvahs. The earlier Rishonim had two categories, mishpatim and chukim, or the lashon from the earlier Rishonim, even the Rasag, even the Rambam, but the Rasag calls them shemiyos and sichliyos. Shemiyos mitzvahs means mitzvahs that have been makabel mit mashmas, mit kabbalah seil, and sichliyos means mitzvahs was mekan verstehen. The Ramban, I think the Ramban is the first one who brings Eidos Chukim Shot. I could be wrong, but I think so. But this is a Rambam, and the Rambam brings Mishpatim and Chukim. So the Rambam says in Sofilchas Me'ilah that there's a gather of mitzvahs which are Chukim. So now, in the end of Tmura, the next Sefer, the Rambam says like this. Royal is bein of him, even those mitzvahs that are Chukim. And Chukim means we can't understand them. We should contemplate them. To whatever extent you can come up with a reason for the chukim, give them a reason. The first chachamim said, understood most of the reasons of all of the chukim in the Torah. The Rambam goes on to explain what Hayrah you could learn from Tmura. But the Nekuda is that the Rambam says that mitzvahs that are chukim, l'mayla min ha'seichel, you got to try and understand. In other words, there are mitzvahs that are mishpatim that you can understand. And mitzvahs which are chukim, the lashon is af al pi she'ein lehem tam, even though they don't have a reason. Kol she'efshar lasif leitam, anyone you could give a tam to, 10 leitam. Okay? So the Rambam says that mitzvahs without timing have shtiklach timing, and you'll later on the Rebbe is going to bring from the Meir Nevuchim what aspects of a chukah is a chukah and what aspects of a chukah become verstehen. Rabbi, I'm going to ask all of you, if you haven't muted yourself, to please mute yourself. You don't realize that it's a lot of, just mute yourself, yeah? Klema, this means, in addition to what the Rambam said in Sefer Chasmilah, שבעצם יש טיימים גם לחוקים, אלא שאין טיימים ידוע, that the emes says every mitzvah has a time. We just don't know it. Okay, skip the bracket, please, skip the bracket. This is special for you, Mendy. Mechadesh kana Rambam in Yenesef. The Rambam brings something else. What is something else? Sheyesh choiv ala, there's an obligation on a person, lizbeinin b'chuki atera, to try and understand the seichel of a chukah. As much as you can contain the time, you give it. Another word like this. In the previous sefer that Rambam said, a mitzvah that we don't know the time doesn't mean it doesn't have a time. It only means we don't know it. And now he's saying a mitzvah you don't know the time, do a hisbonenus. And if you can come up with a shtickle time, it's a sechet that good as that. So we're talking about chukim, mitzvahs believe time. And the Rambam says, number one, they have a time. Number two, you should look for it. Beis v'tzarech be the kashi is mefurish b'shmeina prakam the Rambam writes in Pirush HaMishnayos. This is not made in the book. This is Pirush HaMishnayos. Zesh Amad doesn't say that's kayanim. Le yeman adam I efshi las saved. A person shouldn't say, I'll quote the Tzemach Tzedek, Ich hab nicht halt. I hate Avedas. He shouldn't say hate Avedas. Ela efshi, you should say Ich hab halt. I desire it Avedas. Uma e'eseh she'avi she'bashmaim goes at a lie. What should I do? The Eibush said I'm not allowed. So the Rambam writes Hainu rak b'chukim. The idea that a person should say Ich hab halt is mitzvahs that are chukim. In other words, it's very similar to the Mezitcher Magid, but not the same. The Mezitcher Magid said that a person should only say efshi about averos that he never did. I'm allowed to say efshi about shrimp. I'm not allowed to say efshi about the other things. In other words, a taiva that you have no shaykhs to, you should say efshi. So the Mezitcher Magid makes it personal. Each person has different life's experience. Whatever in Yodam of Aveda you did, or you have a shaykhs to, you should say efshi. Those in Yodam of Aveda you never did, you're supposed to say efshi. The Rambam doesn't say it about each person, it says about klal. Those Avedas that people find disgusting, you should say efshi, ich hab halt. Those Avedas that people find desirable, or dort darf man sagen efshi. In other words, the difference between the Maggid and the Rambam is whether it's personal or it's collective. But otherwise, it's the same higoyin, it's the same lump, the same inyan. Hainu rak b'chukim. That means only mitzvahs that don't make sense. Shel malay ateda loy hayiroy class not for would not be evil at all. Top of 175. Chelik lamed beis, top of 175. V'lachein hahimonus mehem, holding ourselves back from doing those avedas. Hirak mitzatziva yateda. It's only because the Teda told us to do so. Avi shebashamayim gozar alai. My Father in heaven gave it. Mashenke mishpatim. If there's in yonim that it makes sense that it's also because it's oisgelas and it's disgusting. It's the kind of things that everybody knows that they're not. In other words, if you're vulnerable, don't get close. If you have no vulnerability, faket, you should get close. Something to which you have no shaykhs, you should say, I want. Something to which you have a shaykhs, you should say, it's disgusting. A respectable, honorable person should not desire such lowly things, and therefore you should say, I hate it. Okay? I want to mention that Hagav, there's another inyan in the Rishonim. It says in Pashas Re'eh, Loi techel kol teyeva. You shouldn't eat things that are teyeva. Teyeva means disgusting, abominable. So there's two definitions of the word teyeva. One definition of davar teyeva is kol shata afti alech. If the Eibishter made a teif, it's disgusting. In other words, the gedder of teyeva is because Hashem said it's teif. And the other opinion is davar shenafshe shel adam kotzavehem. There are certain things that are such disgusting, miyas, like eating blood, for example. So you have two ways of understanding teyeva. Number one, if Hashem said you're not allowed, that makes it a teyeva. And number two, no, if Hashem said you're not allowed, it may be very attractive. Teyeva means things that a human being finds despicable. So this is the word. If teyeva means anything which Hashem made also, then you're not allowed to say efshi, because you're vulnerable to it. But if it's something that the human condition, nafshesh adam kotzvim, the human condition finds disgusting, adam ekzang efshi. In other words, you have no shaykhs to it, you should say, I want it. If you have a shaykhs to it, you should say it's disgusting. Harei mefurish kan. What do you see from here? Sheyesh chilek ben chukim u'mishpatim gam eifin kiyuv. There's a difference how you do mitzvahs. Mishpatim chayev le'me'ef. A mitzvah that we make sense of. This is today. You have to say, I don't want. Claim it. This means Shemichiyav ha'adam l'kaima machmas taima asichli. Hashem gave you a mitzvah, and the mitzvah says, don't do this because it's disgusting, and you think it's disgusting. You're supposed to say it's disgusting. The ilu b'chukim, and when it comes to mitzvahs which don't have a tam sichli, chayev le'me'ef. Yes, I want it. In other words, it's not mitzat seichel. Kleima, this means the way you're doing it should be she'ein la tam sichli. There's no logic to it. Elarak mitzat kabbalas malchusi is barach. It's only accepting the oil, the yoke of the Rebbe's kingship. Of Ishmael God's Rabbi say. So the Rebbe just said something totally different than I told you in my introduction. Totally different. What did I tell you? That it's a psychological thing. Yeah. Taivas that you want, stay away from. Say I hate. Taivas he's not interested in, you should say I want. So the Rebbe explains it differently. The Rebbe says, taivas that you want are osir because it makes sense. Taivas that you want because it makes sense, you should stay away from them in a logical way. It's disgusting. Taivas in yonim that are chukim, you have no desire for them, and they're only osir because the Eibishter made them osir. Please turn off your sound, yeah? Since it's a chukah, since the only reason it's also because Eibishter was gazed, so you're not being logical about how you're doing it. If you're not being logical about how you're doing it, you're supposed to say yes. Rabbi said, please put yourselves on mute. In other words, the Rebbe is saying that the Rambam is not like the Maggid at all. The Rebbe is saying that the Rambam is not saying what he's saying because of psychology. He's saying that the Rambam is saying what he's saying because of the Gedorim of Mishpatim and Chukim. A mitzvah sichlis, do ba'ofen sichli. Feh, disgusting. A mitzvah shemi, a mitzvah of Kabbalah Seil, you should do ba'ofen Kabbalah Seil. I would love to have it, Eibush doesn't let. It's very, very different what the Rambam is saying than what I told you. Okay? What the Rebbe is saying. Pshat in the Rambam. And the Rebbe continues, we can talk about Ramban, Bepirush Avatela, the Ramban says exactly the same thing. That mishpatim you have to do apisechel, and the chukim you have to do shalei apisechel. This is special for Mendy Simon, 175, second column at the top. I skipped another paragraph. Since the Rambam himself tells us a klal in Pirush HaMishnayos that a mitzvah sichlis you do in an eifin sichli, and a mitzvah shemi, in other words, a mitzvah of chukim, you do in an eifin of mashmos, of discipline. How could the Rambam write in Hilchos Tmuna that you have to give reasons for chukim? It's a stidim and obey. Yeah. Sheroil is beined bechuk pei chelik lamed beis. Yisrael shalom aleichem. It's nice to have you. Chelik lamed beis, page 175. Shalom aleichem. Yeah. Royal is beined bechuk atayra. A mitzvah which is a chayk doesn't make sense, and you're looking for a reason. Because kol masha'ata yochel litan leitam ten leitam, as much as you could find a time for a chayk, you should give it. V'hainu, this means sha'adam tzarach lishtadol. A person make every effort. Lahavin to el chukim, to make sense out of the chukim. V'sha'advarim shenesru aidei chukei atayr and dvarim roim. That if the Torah says something is asur, it's because it's bad, right? That means to say you're supposed to give a seichel dikatam for a chayk. But the Rambam holds that when it comes to chukim, you're not supposed to give tam seichel. That's the Rebbe's kash. It's a very, very good kash. What is our attitude towards chukim? Are you supposed to try and make sense out of them, like it says in the Mishnah Torah? Or you're supposed to say this has nothing to do with sense, like it says in Pirush HaMishnayos? And the Rebbe sees it as a contradiction. Okay? Pay the Gimel. If anybody wants to interrupt me, feel free. Good evening, Rabbi Yosef. We're going to continue. Pay the Gimel. You ready? Rabbi Yosef. Yeah? V'yashleim Rabbi Rebbe Zapshat is as follows. And the Rebbe says, Ha'eid Elavot. It's very Eid Elavot. Sheyesh hefresh bein atayim de mishpatim v'atayim de chukim. It's taka emes. If the Rambam holds say mishpatim and say chukim, they have taimim, and you have to understand the tam. But they're different categories of tam. What's a different category of tam of a mishpat and the category of tam of a chayik? Says the Rebbe the following: Hataimim shal mishpatim he meseichel adam. The reasons for mishpatim, the person's brain understands. In other words, if there would be no Torah, you'd figure them out yourself. You're A human being with his own intellect would figure these things out. Ukuleshein Chazalek, it says in the Gemara that ilmole nichtevu din hu sheikasi. Certain in Yonim and mitzvahs, if the Torah hadn't been written, we'd figure them out on ourselves. So there's some mitzvahs that are so long. I heard once from Rush Limbaugh. I don't know if he's still around and he's still making noise. I listened to him 35 years ago. He called them natural laws. Natural laws is what says in Hayem Yem. Chukim was werden geschaffen von Leben. If people live, certain things they're going to figure out. That's it. You live in a civilization, you live in a community, in a family, an extended family. Certain things are going to just make sense. Not stealing, not killing, not lying, not cheating, not holding grudges, not taking revenge. They make sense. You don't even intend it to say. That's called the seichel of a mishpat. Then you have mitzvahs that fundamentally they don't make sense. But you figured out a pshat. But when you're figuring out a pshat, it's not a human pshat that people understand this. It's a Torah pshat. Let's keep going. As opposed to reasons that are chukim, you say them rak b'seichel haTorah. They make sense not to the person, they make sense to the Torah. And therefore, don't kill makes sense. Don't eat shrimp only makes sense when the Eibush says not to eat shrimp. It says in Sfarim why you shouldn't eat shrimp. It says why. There's a reason. They're the garbage cans. They eat up all the junk. Yeah, but you're gonna eat the filters. You can eat it's like eating a filter. Yeah, you have a water filter. Yeah, when the water filter gets dirty, you take out the filter and you put in a new filter. Imagine eating the old filter. That's what they are. Bottom feeders. They eat all the garbage. You're gonna eat the garbage eaters. There's reasons why you shouldn't eat shkotzim. Okay. So there are certain mitzvahs that a person by himself would understand. There are certain mitzvahs, there's a reason. You know the reason because Torah gave it to you. This is a different kind of time. So in other words, the Rebbe is saying there's no kasha for the Rambam writes in Pirush HaMishnayos that mitzvahs that have no tam you should not do apitam. And what the Rambam writes in Sefer Tmura that even mitzvahs of chukim you should give a tam. Because when you give a tam to a chayik, it's not a human tam, it's a Torah tam. When you give a tam to a mishpat, it's a human tam. I think that makes sense. If somebody has issues, go ahead and speak up. I mean it. But to me, this is very logical. There's two gdorim of tam. A tam in Torah and a tam in Welt. Mishpatim have taimim in Welt. Chukim have taimim in Torah. Ubazeh yesh levad, next paragraph, this explains, the new one to the Rambam's language, after the Rambam tells the reason for din tmura, which the Rebbe says, I'm going to explain it in Siv Dal, it says like this. The last 5 lines on page 175, quote, V'reiv dinei HaTorah, most, the majority of the dinim in the Torah, einon ella, they're nothing other than eitzes means counsel, as they say in Old Torah, advices, mirachek, from far away, from a remote place. In other words, you would never think of them from yourself. Migadei ha'etz, from the master of Eitz, from the Eibishter himself. Letakein hadeyes, to correct people's deyes, that means how they think. Uliyasha kol ha'maisim, and to straighten out, to streamline all the people's actions. I'm compelled to say this because I like to say it. In Rambam, there's 2 Tamei mitzvahs. Beklolos. Of course, in Kabbalah, in Chassidus, there's many, many more. In the Rambam, there's 2 Tamei mitzvahs. Number 1, Midas Tevis. And number 2, Tikkun Hadeyes. The Rambam says the reasons mitzvahs either are that people should develop good character, and on a higher level, they should be masakin their days, their brain. And these words, L'takan Hadeyes, is obviously L'takan Hadeyes. Well, Yasha Kol HaMaisim B'Pashtus means Midas Tevis. Those are the 2 Gedorim of Tamei HaMitzvahs. But they come Midela Eitz Merochik. What does Merochik mean? You'd never think of them yourself. Because he's talking about a tam for chukim. A tam for chukim is Merochik. The Yeshlema, the Rebbe says, Shatam Shenoket Aramam Loshen Zeh. Eitzes Merochik Migdel HaEitza. Counsel, or like I said before, advices from far away from the great counselor. Einim Mishum Shetafas Lishna the Krotz. Not because it's such a puzzle. You look in footnote 19. You see 2 psukim. Yeah, turn the page. Liyefi hamalitza, to be poetic. El shazui hagdoras inyan ataimim shevalochazu. The Rambam is giving you a criteria for the nature of these taimim. That what? Shataimim she'ata yachal litin lechukim. That even though the Rambam holds, and the fact is, you can give taimim to chukim, says the Rebbe, taimim she'ata yachal litin lechukim eitzes habois merochi. They're remote, they're far away. Migdela eitzes, from the great council, from the Eibush, the Klema. This means, hataimim de chukim, the reasons of chukim ein an eitzes seichel ha'adam. They're not the kind of things a human being, as such, as a person, would figure them out. That the human mind counsels another human being to behave this way. They're not logical by themselves. So the Rambam himself, when he brings up this idea that you give time and for chukim, calls them that merachak mitelaitz. So now we have two gedolim in tam. We have a tam that's called seichel ha'adam, and we have a tam that's called seichel ha'toyv. That's why we have to be careful. If you're not going to find a reason. Because you haven't gotten so smart that you can figure out a time which comes from far away. You shouldn't be lighthearted. You shouldn't be negligent and say, I don't care about these mitzvahs. That's the Rambam Shita. That when it comes to chukim, you're supposed to say, Efshi, I want. And God doesn't let me. That even though there may be a time, but the person by himself is never going to find a time. Not of a then, if he'll do his bundles, he'll find a time. So therefore, the attitude has to be, Efshi, I would like to have it, the Eibush doesn't let me. In other words, there's some timing that even though there's a time, you're not going to say it's logical. You're going to say Torah gave it logic. And therefore you have to say, Efshi, I would like it, Eibush doesn't let it. Mishpatim, on the other hand, is called Seichel Ha'adam. The human being by himself would determine these timing. So by Mishpatim you have to say Efshi. Questions or comments? Reuben, I can't tell you. One second. Hold on. Okay, Reuben, I didn't hear much of what you said, so say it again, please.
So we should expect that the person has a reason for the mishpatim, and therefore he has to say efshi, and we should expect that the person has no reason for the chukim, therefore he has to say efshi.
No, even if he has a reason for the chukim, but because it's eitzes meirachak, I hear what you're saying. You're medacting in the words. Since it's eitzes meirachak, even if he has the tam, it's not enough of a motivator. So he has to say efshi. He has to make the mitzvah personal, and he makes the mitzvah personal by saying efshi. Mishpatim, he probably knows the tam, right? That's what I think. You're reading the last words. There's a build-up. Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments? So I'm going to continue to read, okay? Dalet. Al Pisa Asa Shaper Gamke. This explains another thing. Loma Kosav Arambam Inyan Zeh Benegel Lechukim Detmura. There's a lot of mitzvahs that don't make sense. One of the weirdest ones is Tmura. A lot of mitzvahs that don't make sense. One of the weirdest ones is Tmura. And the Rambam says this idea that you should look for time and for chukim dafka by Tmura. Let's read it inside. B'Tmura mudgish, by Tmura, top of the second column, 176 is underscored. Shatam shatayocha litin leurak eitzem erocha g'deleitz. Of all chukim, the logic for Tmura is the most remote. Why? Let's read it inside. Zel l'shein Rambam b'tam l'din Tmura. Moish, you remember the Sicha or not? It's Pashas Rei Mem Zayin. Ich habe mal gehört, als der Rebbe verteidigt auf Shmuel, gedenkt wegen verschiedenen Maimorim. Ich habe gesagt, dass gewinnt nach der Chashene, gedenkt nicht, dass gut befahrt der Chashene. I was probably here. Mem Zayin summer I was here. I remember the Rebbe speaking Rochek Megidela Eitza. I didn't understand the Sicha B'Shas Maisa, but I remember the words. Shabbat Pashas Re'eh. Mem Zayin. Okay. The Zelashen Rambam. Yidali, it seems to me. Shazesh Amar Akosta, but it says in the Torah, V'ha Yehu Atmasa Yekedesh, that a person brought a carbon, right? This is mamish the last few psukim of Pashas Luchos. La Yachach Lifenu, V'la Yomer Eisel Teverav, V'la Imahama Yemirenu, V'hayahu Utmurasa Yekedesh, right? Remember the Sicha Homer Yemirenu V'hayahu? Who thinks this? I think it was Yud right? The halach is if you make tmura, you made a carbon, and you replace the carbon with another carbon, without pigeon, without pigeon, so then who would rasa yakedesh? They both become karbanas. Your carbon range a carbon, the other guy's brought as a tmur. K'inyan sha'ama, like it says, v'mamaktish yigal is basic. That if a person made his house hektish, and then he redeems it itself, the halacha is v'yosva chamishas kesef ekachalav, he has to pay 25% more. Right? Chamishas is 25%, not 20%. Because chamishas in Torah is milgav. In other words, you divide the amount that the real estate is worth into 4 parts, you add it on top, so it becomes a fifth. So if you have a house which you made hektish, and it's worth $100, you want it back, you have to pay 125. Somebody else pays 100. You have to add a choimish. Why? This is such geschmacka words. Yod the Torah seif machshavas adam. The Torah descends to the end of the thought of a person. Uktsas yitzehara. The Eibush that creeps into a person, his whole seichel, and a little bit of the Yetzer Hara. That's what Sheteva shel Adam neitel harbes kinyoni. Human nature is to acquire as much material possessions as possible. V'lochas amamen, and of course he has rachmanis on his guilt. V'afalpi, and even though shenadar v'hiktish, he made a neder, he made hektish. Right, we're talking about hektish. We're talking about a tmura. It's a korban. It's a neder. Still, after you already gave the Eibush to the korban, after you gave the Eibush to your house as hektish, shech chazar, you regretted it, v'nicham, and you took it back, and therefore v'yifte v'pachas mishav, you think, I'll redeem it for less than its real value. Omra Teiras, the Teiras is worried about your Yetzer Hara and tells you, im padal atzma, if you want to redeem it for yourself, Yetzer Chaymish, add another 25%. The same is true by Tmura, im hiktish behema kedushas haguf. If you made an animal holy, and the animal is meant to be a carbon, it's not kedushas, what is it called? Bedek habayis, right? Which is money. If you donate an animal, that's a balmum, so it goes to Bedek habayis. If you donate an animal that ain't b'minei carbon, it goes to Bedek habayis. If you donate an animal which is a tamim, and yesh b'minei carbon, you assume that it's kodesh b'kedushas haguf. Shema Yachsabeh, maybe you're going to regret it. The Kivin Chen Yachal Lefdesa, since you can't redeem it, Yachli Fena, you'll replace it. You'll replace it with something less. If you allow people to say, okay, I'm going to replace a cheaper animal with a better animal, so today they're going to replace the cheap with the better. Tomorrow they're going to replace the better with the cheap. You know the Maisim, it's Hershel Astrapol, one of the famous stories, Hershel Astrapol. There's the Maisim. It's a classic story. Hershel Astrapol came to a Gavir in town, and he asked him to lend him a spoon, a silver spoon. So he lent him a beautiful silver spoon. A week later, the Hershel came back, and he gave him back the spoon that he borrowed and a little small spoon. So the Gavir said, "My." He says, "What do you mean? The spoon had a baby, and the spoon had a baby." Okay, it's a deal. You lend the guy a spoon, you get back a spoon and a spoon. A week later, the Hershel Sapala borrowed from this guy his big candelabra, his silver leichter. I didn't give it back. So after a few weeks, the Gavir says, "Was ich mit dem leichter?" He says, "Oh, the leichter is gestorben. The candelabra died." So Hershel says, "I don't understand you. It's a piece of silver. It's a diamond. They don't die." He said, "I want to ask you a question. When the spoon had a baby, you understood, yeah? So how come we don't understand when the leichter died? But the spoon got the baby, it's the good verstanden. Why? So it's like a lion. Now, so if you tell a person you can be machlif, Rabbi Yofe, tomorrow is be machlif Yofe Bera. Look, my name, metodish. And now the Rebbe shows you how remote this is. Look, the Rebbe gives you a lot of nigle. the odds, the chances of you getting away with replacing a good carbon with a cheap carbon is almost impossible. Here's why. Tam ze ein imuvah Kentucky. It's very hard to understand because ein peders hagdeshes al b'shosha b'kiyin. You want to pay the hektish, you have to have three experts. Three, 1, 2, 3, count them, three experts. You make a public service announcement to see what it's worth. B'fnei kol habayim lifteis, how much it's worth. Omar echad eventually be'eses loin, omar echad be'esim, be'chamishim. So when you come and you say, I want to be paid a hektish, they make such a big tzimis, they make it so public, it's kind of impossible for you to sneak in less than it's worth. And nevertheless, the Eibishter said, Me'ila, Keitzad Yala, top of 177 now. Keitzad Yala, Daite Shia B'Yechol to lift as a Pachas Mishavye, Hare Kol Aboim lift as Yatzius Kum Godel Yetzer, V'Kol Shem Kal V'Chemet that the Shleisha B'Kiyin, Lo Yanichol lift as Pachas Mishavye. The whole business that you're afraid that a guy made something hektish and you want to pay less than its value for opinion is very, very hard to understand. There's three experts sitting on the case, looking at the value of this item. Everybody walks into the court, they ask him how much you want to pay for this. How's the guy going to get away with it? Nevertheless, the Eibishter says, Me'ila. Right? And now the Rebbe goes on to Tmura. V'chein neni moving by Tmura. Hachshash em titin reshus lahacha v'rava yafi 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 b'rava yemen tev. What are the chances of a person making a behemoth carbon, and then tomorrow making this behemoth not a carbon and replacing it with a different behemoth? A person made it hektish. See the parenthesis. Nevertheless, we're afraid not only is going to change his mind, he's going to go to the opposite extreme. He'll become a liar. To be yachlef yafabera. The Rebbe says, if you think practically about the laws of Me'ilah and the laws of Tmura in context, what's the context? Nobody asked him to give a donation to the Beis HaMikdash. He volunteered. Nobody asked him to bring a carbon. He volunteered. And now he changed his mind. What are the odds?
Even more than that. He can go to a chacham and be mater his neder.
Right, depending on once you give it to hektish, I don't know if you give it mater neder. By a carbon, it can be mater neder. But by hektish, it's hektish. By me'ilah, it doesn't work. Says the Rebbe Vabir, but the only way to explain it is shetaimim eloheim eitis menocha gedila eitz. If you think about it practically, says the Rebbe, the Torah is worried about a person changing his mind about geld in cases which are very, very rare. Why? Because the Eibush is a smart guy and he understands. As it comes to geld, forget about it. The human mind is going to say this doesn't make any sense. It's too extreme. It's too radical. It's too frum. The Torah gets to the end of a human being's mind. This means HaKadosh Baruch Hu boras ha'adam. God Almighty created people. And He also knows the hardwiring, the hard drive, the brain that He gave the person. He understands just how people are when it comes to geld. This nature, to acquire as much wealth as possible and to worry about his wealth, is such a strong urge that lahate says to Adam that a person will be disposed to redeem an animal less than its value. He should change his mind completely. That instead of wanting to bring a carbon, he's going to be yachlef yafa berah. The Eibush is smart enough to understand that you can't trust a person. Akadekach. That's the word. That's the word. That the Eibush knows. As it comes to geld, can't trust anybody. The guy's a tzaddik and he's giving tzedakah and he's giving hektish and he wants it to be beautiful. In 15 minutes, he's looking for a way out. But it takes the Eibush to understand that. In other words, this is not a mishpat, it's a chukah. A chukah doesn't mean it doesn't have a tam. A chukah means it doesn't have a tam adam, as a tam Torah. So chukim have takataimim. A kol she'efshel loses leitam ten leitam, but they're tied in mirachak mendelei. So the Eibush is a smart guy and he knows how people work. Can't trust a person when it comes to these things. People do business all the time. And I'm a hot seich of Eisman, anything you do in business with your brother, with your father, with your son, write it down on a piece of paper. I say, what? What's the big deal? We're so close. As a kum to geld, I always say there's two types of money. Not my money and your money. Money in my pocket and money in your pocket. If your money is in my pocket, it's mine. If my money is in your pocket, it's yours. That's the way the brain works. It's a fact. And the Eibishter, who's Mirochek, Megdela Eitzah, knows this. So he worries about a guy who's so interested in giving tzedakah that he's going to lose heart. So now you see the difference. There's a very big difference between a time of a mishpat and a time of a chukah. It's different type of timing. Sifhei. Aval adayin eino inyin misashav kol tzarkei. The Rebbe has another question. Kol hanal mitaret tzrak. This only explains that shagam la'achin u'sin satam l'chukim, even though a chayk has a tam, kiyumam tola b'yiras hamalchus. You're not going to do them because it makes sense. You do them because the Eibishter said. Kabbalah's el malchus, except his yoke. Okay? Skip the parenthesis, please. Avadayin tzarech bir. I have a question still. Sof. Is it not true that his bonus betami achuk? If a person is going to sit down and analyze the logic to chukim, harehi heipech ma'iyan Kabbalah say. If I'm going to try and make sense out of things that I'm supposed to do out of discipline, I'm not going to be disciplined. I'm going to be logical. You move from the pashtus. It's self-understood. If a person tries very hard to find reasons for mitzvahs, it's a contradicting to the thirst, to do the mitzvah, fine. So I know the difference between a seichel of mishpatim and a seichel of chukim. But the seichel of chukim undermines the concept of a chayik. What's the concept of a chayik? Kabbalah Malach Shemai. You put seichel to a chayik, you're de-chayking the chayik. You're taking away from the yid his Kabbalah self. That's the Rebbe's kash. Now we still don't understand when it says before that bechukim is supposed to say efshi. In other words, it don't make any sense. The lechayda just say since they make sense a little bit. Skip the parenthesis. Even though logic does not compel it. If you're an honorable man and you understand the time for a chukah, you should say efshi. So the Rebbe says everything we said that spells out that there's two kinds of logic. There's human logic and Torah logic. Human logic is called mishpatim. Torah logic is called eitzes meirachak megedela eitz. But the fact that you're trying to explain chukim takes away from me the whole idea of Kabbalah sale. The Yuva never answers. He brings the Rambam Meir Nevuch. This is a famous Nevuch. The Rebbe brings this Nevuch a lot. And the way that goes on to say, even mishpatim, even mitzvahs that are logical, the Rambam holds the time of mitzvahs are just for the klal mitzvah. Every Rambam writes in the Ferish, even mitzvahs that make sense, the details of the mitzvahs don't. The Rambam writes, all mitzvahs have tam. Tachlis Ma'ila has a very good purpose. Top of page 178, please. I encourage you to read the footnotes, but please don't discuss them in Shir, okay? Mamshichi says, this Shekol Zewarak Benegel L'Klos HaMitzvah. Mishpatim, logical mitzvahs, all have time in, but only B'Klal. Sheklal HaMitzvahs Yesh L'Antam B'Hechla, the mitzvahs as a klal have a reason. U'Biglal Toyelis Mesayem Esiva B'Hen, for a specific person we've given these mitzvahs. Avo Protein, the details, as the Bacham say in the name of Reb Shalom Charatonev, the details. Hey Nashanemer B'Hen Shehem Lefashet Hatzivu, they're said to make the commandment realistic. You go into the pratim of mitzvahs, there's no time. That you have to eat matzah makes sense. That you have to eat the kazayas doesn't make sense. I'm just giving you, maybe that's a bad example, yeah? Mitzvahs have timing, but only the klal, not the pratim. Like, it's good to have an esrig and a lulav and a hadas and arava. But why one esrig and one lulav and two aravas and three hadasim? That doesn't make sense. The klal makes sense, the pratim don't. Okay? Efsher litin tam klal prati mitzvah, even mishpatim. Says the Rebbe, Hainu, sheprate ha-mitzvahs, the details of mishpatim, aber geder chukah. In other words, on the one hand, we're giving time for chukim, and that makes us nervous. On the other hand, we're saying that many details of mishpatim are like chukim. Second column, 178. Nimtzukum desazeh. Shaleshitas harambam. This is the word. The Rambam holds yesh b'chol mitzvah gam mishpatim. All mitzvahs, including mishpatim, inyan shel chukim mamish. There's a part of every mitzvah we don't understand. She'iyef shalit netamkal. They have no reasons. Now I want you to know that the Rebbe gets very, I don't know what that word is, very intense in Ha'ara 34 and 35, because the Rebbe is very, very uncomfortable with this Rambam. The Rambam says, the Rambam gives you a bunch of practical examples from society, that if I make a rule, make a law, so the law is going to have to give me klolim, how the law is enforced. He says the fact of life is when you make laws for many people to practice, you have to make rules that are for everybody. There's gonna be aspect of those rules that are gonna be arbitrary. Can't help it. It's the fact of life. The reason you're making the law, it makes sense, but the specifics doesn't make sense. So the Rebbe says that Rambam holds that the most logical of mitzvahs has aspects which are not logical. 179 at the top, please. So now we got it both ways. We have an issue with giving time to chukim because he's stealing the chukim from us. And now we're discovering that the mishpatim also have a chukim issue. So the Rebbe says like this: Hachiluk bein mishpatim v'chukim, the difference between mishpatim and chukim is this: b'mishpatim, logical mitzvahs, klolos ha-mitzvah in sha'aseichel al-chayv. By mishpatim, the basic mitzvah makes sense. V'inyan zeh shel ha-mitzvah, and this cloud that makes sense is gever or machriya al prati ha-mitzvah shein lem tam. Mitzvahs where the basic mitzvah makes sense and the specific rules don't, the preeminent component is the logic. On the other hand, 5 lines at the top of page 179, Masha'en came b'chukim, mitzvahs that don't make sense. They have aspects that are logical, but the basic mitzvah is not logical. Says the Rebbe, Bohem gever, in those mitzvahs, the preeminent fact, the predominant aspect is chelik ha-mitzvah she'ein lo tam, the aspect of the mitzvah that has no tam. Skip the parenthesis. Al chelik ha-mitzvah, over that portion of the mitzvah, she'echelim lo tam, that you could give it. Next paragraph says Rabbi Paltiel, think about it. Al pizeh move. Shebechukim yeshnem shnei inyanim. When it comes to mitzvah, it don't make sense. There's 2 things. Number 1, Kabbalah sel malchusei v'izbonus b'taimim. When it comes to a chayk, you have 2 things: accepting the yoke of heaven and contemplating reason. And of course, the opposite is also true. Mishpatim have 2 things: contemplating reason and Kabbalah sel malchusei. Ve'einam seisim zeh, there's no contradictions. Ki hey mechalokim sheinim shalom mitzvah, different parts of the mitzvah. Yesh bechukim mashe'i ef shalitin tam klal. There's aspects of chukim you can't give reasons at all, and that's the klal of the chayk. Skip the parenthesis. That aspect of the chayk, you do it just because Hashem said, and that's the way you're saying efshi. That part of the mitzvah that does have a reason, it's an yifan seichel. So what the Rebbe is trying to argue is that the reason, there's no problem between the seichel of a chayk and the chayk of a chayk, and alternatively, the chayk of a mishpat and the mishpat of a mishpat, is because they're different pieces. Chukim don't make sense. Little things we understand. Mishpatim do make sense. Little things we don't understand. So when you approach a chayk, that's how you approach it. This I don't understand, but I'm going to make sense out of this detail. And when you approach the mishpat, the other way around. This makes sense, I don't understand all the details. So in reality, every mitzvah has a seichel, and every mitzvah has a Kabbalah seil. The question is, what's the klal and what's the prat? And in Sif Zayah, which we're not going to learn, the Rebbe introduced us to the Hasidic term hiskalalus, that chukim have an aspect of mishpat, and mishpat have an aspect of chukim, and he explains it, that mishpatim, by having a reason for mitzvah, you have a certain chayas in the mitzvah, and by having an aspect of the mitzvah, that you're doing it just because the Eibishter said, the mitzvahs have a bittul. Okay, that was good. I think that was a good learn, I think. It wasn't such an easy Sicha, but it was a Geschmacka learn. Okay. A gute Nacht and a good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Yeah.
Shabbos.
We want Mashiach now.
The graphic example of a chayk which is in a mishpat, probably in Baal of Imai, by Yisrael.
Yeah. There's 1,000 examples. Yeah.
But thank you, Chazi, for giving us one example. Thank you.
Chazi, when is the quarantine gonna end?
Quarantine.
My book is over.
My quarantine.
What does it mean in my book it's over?